Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of A New Go of New Home Sales. I'm John Lee. I'm one of the co-hosts. Our primary host, Anya Chrysanthemum, is on a wonderful European vacation, so I'm subbing in. But I'm not alone. I'm with someone that I've co-hosted many episodes with, so I feel very comfortable. And before I get too much into this, Sarah, the last time we had a podcast together was when we had this wonderful farewell with you, and that was a little over a year ago. And you've been on a crazy adventure since. Can you share a little bit about what you've been doing and what you're up to?
Oh gosh, John, it is so good to be back. And it's so great. We were just joking around saying, when's the last time we saw each other? Because it's been too long in our world. We haven't even been on a Zoom together. So it's so good to see you. We talk regularly, but it's good to see your face. Gosh, the past year has been amazing. I've grown since leaving Anugo was like leaving the nest and going out to a whole new world. I've gotten to meet some amazing people. I worked for a tech company that was doing something very different than what I've done in the past and with a lot of different clients that I've never met before. So it felt like I was the new kid walking into Urban Land Institute meetings and doing
Land development.
ladies in land, which is shout out to Erica Sinner, who's doing amazing things for our industry. Yeah, so I've gotten to meet so many amazing people changing our industry. It just was different than all my friends that I've known for the past decade doing that sales and marketing role for home builders. So working a lot with land developers, master plan communities, and that whole world. So it's been amazing.
Yeah, but what's the new thing that you're doing now?
Oh,
Everybody.
fast forward, a lot can happen in a year. It's like the
Yes.
story of my life and my career. John, as my friend, and so many people that are close to me, like in my inner circle, have known my dream was to launch my own company. My poor husband has been hearing about it for over a decade. And after I left Anugo, and as I was leaving, I was like, you know what my real goals are, John? My team that I just left knew what my ultimate goals were, but I believed I was 5 years out, still 5 years or 4 years out from actually achieving and opening my own company. But as the year progressed, as I was growing in that role as chief revenue officer and really learning all of that, I thoroughly was missing the sales and marketing world in my home builders and that small to mid-size. And also the role that I had, what didn't necessarily allow me to do some of the things that I had gotten to do in previous roles. So I was missing having that impact in like the development of products and with prop tech companies and really getting in there, John, firsthand, how we work together. So there's just so many things that I was just like, had this longing, and different life events happened that really keyed up this phenomenal. And someday I will talk about how everything came together, but it was so amazing how when you share your heart with people and they're listening, just the universe is amazing in the ways that everything came together in the month of June, just different life events and different folks close to me in the industry were like, we need you, we need your help. It all happened almost on the same day. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
lie. It was like the weirdest, coolest experience. Everything happened right around the same time. And here I am. I launched my company just like 2 months ago. And I feel like I'm on a rocket ship. I always said that when I worked with you, John, but I'm on a rocket ship of one. And I launched Aras Co, which is my consultancy. So now I get to play exactly the way I've always wanted to with tech companies, with builders, and with people that are really trying to do amazing things in the industry. So like training companies and authors. And
So what's the story behind your company name?
so for those that don't realize, Aras, Aras, is my name backwards. To try to keep this as short as possible, when you're thinking about launching your own company, like for a decade, I have had a million iterations and lots of different names that came to me. But when it really came time to, all right, now you really have to pick, lock in the domain and do all the things and register your company, I kept coming back to Aras. And when I looked up the meaning, it was like one of those synchronicities in your life where it's the meaning was dwelling and residence. And I was like, that's crazy because I've been in the new home industry for 20
In Gaelic,
in
not
Gaelic. Oh yeah, not in English, obviously.
right.
Eris. I don't even know if anyone uses the name Eris
Uh-huh.
in English or whatever. In Gaelic. Thank you, John. And then also in certain languages, it's about taking responsibility and treating something as your own, which again, not necessarily in English, but when I was looking it up, chat
Mhm.
GPTing and Googling, like, is there a meaning behind this name? And when I was naming my kids, it was the same thing. I was like, what's the name mean? And that just, I felt like all connected to what I'm really trying to do is work with companies and treat them like my own and amplify people's voices, whether it's a company voice or an individual's voice. And the dwelling in residence like really resonated, obviously, because this is like our industry is where I've really made the biggest impact. And that's where I will continue to make an impact.
And speaking of connections, the way we've connected, we've had our own little storied history, but we've both been in this industry for over 2 decades. So we've seen the good, bad, and ugly through the tough times and the great times. And as our careers have changed, we literally first met standing side by side at a sales booth. Here's the CEO standing next to the salesperson. And it was great to get your insight on what it was to do sales at the ground level. And that's where I fell in love with you in a sense of seeing your passion and your understanding of this industry and your love for helping the customers because I see them as they step up to your booth, how you met them where they're at and you trying to find the right solution, whether you were the one that could provide it or someone else. And that still resonated with me. And that's one of the big reasons that I hired you. But looking back at your experience, if there was a career bucket list of jobs to do in the home builder industry, I think you've checked off every bucket from entry level to CRO in the boardroom. Tell me about that path and what got you to keep pushing the envelope and now to start your own business. What's your passion? What's your drive?
Oh gosh, the industry I'm passionate about, but I've done, like you said, I've worn so many hats and I've never been afraid of getting my hands dirty. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, I have to do everything myself. But when I worked with you in Inugo, I was so used to just getting into things. As a chief revenue officer, you like stay in your lane. And that was just so new to me. And it was an adjustment when
Right.
you're a chief revenue
Very
officer. You
corporate.
don't, it's just different. But when I started out, like in college, I was working for sports marketing companies and I market research. So I was calling people. I did the job that I literally everybody I knew in college was like, I could never do that job. And it just came so naturally to me, asking people, hey, will you just making conversations, asking people to do something that at like in a cold call, literally, will you do this survey with me? I always did really well and I
Yeah.
got results.
One thing about you is not only you workaholic, not only are you passionate, not only you care about customers, but you don't have those inhibitions and boundaries. And particularly when you worked with us, being a new go in software, which is tech is like a four-letter word in this industry, we had to go outside the comfort zone and personally and as a company. And that's what made you a great asset to us. But yeah, back
Well,
to
thank you. Yeah. So from that job, finished college, I managed a gym. I was in the
you.
fitness industry. I did sales first and quickly became general manager. So I was in charge of all revenue for the massage division, for babysitting, for merchandise, for the sales team, for cancellations. It was all on my shoulders. And I was a baby. I mean, I was fresh out of college. So I did all of that. And then I got engaged. And that was I was working in Princeton, New Jersey. And then I got engaged to my husband, who I met in college. And he was like, moved to Pittsburgh. I didn't have a job there. My boss at that fitness facility, we did a let's make a deal. He's, can you just give me more time? I need more time. Will you work till the end of the year and I will help you get a job in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? And I said, people in Pittsburgh. And he lived there for years, wildly enough. So he introduced me to a family in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Gillespies, and that was at Heartland Homes. Fast forward, I ended up working for that company. They hired me thanks to Mike Cash recommendation. They hired me and I worked for them for a decade, which is how I got into the home building industry.
And what role were you doing there?
So they hired me as an on-site sales agent and I was training obviously at first. And then I did that role. I did some sales assistant work. I begged to go into the marketing department. So I became the marketing coordinator. And then with that job, I launched the online sales program. I launched a CRM. I grew that online sales program. My claim to fame, just say that, is I was the first online sales counselor of the year. It was a very long time ago, but they didn't have that role. And it was very new and groundbreaking in the industry. I joke around and say there was probably 3 of us that entered because there
But that was
wasn't
a
many.
pivotal time because it's very similar to the tech changes that's happening now. That
Mhm.
was moving from the print age to the digital age, everybody going online. So to be one of the the early adopters of
Yeah.
technology has really laid the groundwork for who you are today and the skills and the differentiator who you are for a lot of the other, I almost afraid to say consultants, but I view you as a consultant, but you may not view yourself that way. But I do feel like you are able to take all the experiences and knowledge that you've gotten and now be able to now present that to the builders who really haven't had the experience that you've had across your career.
Thank you. And that was what's wild is I was part of the team that helped invested in an enterprise resource platform or ERP
ERP.
at that builder. And that was people quit over that. There was such an aversion to technology. And I was like, can I help train the sales team to learn how to put their leads in? And can I teach them how to do this, that? I was just a salesperson in the models begging to be part of the revolution, so to speak. There was just some sort of attraction. So I was always the early adopter, launching a CRM, the first one to use it and to become a super user, then get champions on, that was when I was working at the home office, getting champions out in the field and then letting them advocate for that, getting the buy-in. And then fast forward, so that builder got acquired. Heartland Homes got acquired by NVR. They're still going by the name Heartland Homes and they're in Pittsburgh. I got a call on a guy that kept leaving me voicemails and finally called me on a Saturday afternoon, and he was from South Carolina. And he was a consultant helping that team look for a marketing director. And I ended up moving to Charleston. I took that job. They flew me down. I interviewed. I'd never been to Charleston, South Carolina prior to that. Fell in love with the city, fell in love with that builder. They were in growth mode, very similar to the builder in Heartland, that I was the 7th sales rep hired. I think we had 11 neighborhoods and we grew to 33 communities in a very short period of time. We hit major growth milestones to the point of acquisition. This builder was on the same trajectory, and they used Mark Systems, which is what I used in Pittsburgh, and they were looking to bring on Lasso, and they wanted an online sales program. So who better than me to come in and repeat what I had just done in Pittsburgh with my Pittsburgh team? So that's what I did. I
And
stayed
what was
with
that
them.
position? That was an executive
That was a director of marketing. So I
director
was
of
a
marketing.
director of
That's a pretty
marketing
big
for a home
role
builder.
for a builder. Yeah.
Yeah. So they had someone in the role that was more of a graphic designer before I came in, and I was more of a strategist and putting everything in place. So what I tell everyone is I am not a graphic designer, I'm not an artist, but I am a strategist, and I can put all the pieces together and really execute. So I worked for them, and then I started getting an itch to get back in sales, John, and that's how I switched over to working for tech. And I'll say shout out to Lasso CRM, because they took a major, I'll say, gamble or took a risk because they had never hired someone that worked for a home builder before. I remember after I was hired, one of my teammates said, nobody's ever worked in this role. No one's ever worked out.
Yeah.
The founder was in sales, but no one's ever been able, they've had no success or no real success. And I was like, challenge accepted. Fast forward, I worked for that company for 6 years and helped grow that company to an acquisition as well, and really grew their US market. They were very large and doing very well in Canada. It was a Canadian-based CRM company, and I grew that. And then ECI bought that company, and I worked for ECI for 2 years selling CRM and interactive maps. And then from there, John, you know what happened next.
Well,
After the
I know you have an
acquisition.
itch for doing new things and innovative things and change the world things. So
Yeah.
that's where we hooked up in a sense with a new
Mhm.
go.
Yeah. So then I worked for ECI for 2 years, and I really did make an impact there. I had my reservations because I've been through acquisitions before, but it turned out to be a fantastic experience. I made even more money and sold bigger clients, and it was such a great experience working for them. And then you were doing something new, and you got me very excited about switching from rendering house to a new go. And I joined your team, and man, we had so much fun working together.
Yeah, I guess we both ended up okay here, so we can say it was fun. But it was very trying at the beginning.
Sure
For
was.
those who don't know us, we were rendering house for about 20 years. And at the height of COVID in 2020, we made a new go of it as a prop tech company. When people were not meeting and they weren't going to conferences or booths or listening to people speak, and we had to start a new brand in a field that was really foreign to this industry, which is really about MarTech and even sales tech, about changing the whole marketing and sales to an online customer journey. And this is where, even though I hired you for sales as a director of sales, and we never had a salesperson, so it's an interesting thing on its own. But not only do you have to sell a product that was brand new and probably hard for people to adopt, let's put it that way, but you also had to help with the marketing side because we were in the middle of a dramatic rebrand after 20 years to go from a content visualization company to this new proptech software company. So one, I got to change my domain, I got to change my colors, I got to change my messaging, and I didn't have anybody to help me there. And it was when you jumped in, you actually had to dig in and communicate that. But on top of rebranding us, you had to do a lot of market research, which is one of the unsung tasks of marketing people. You had to go learn what products builders needed, what resonated, what would they pay for, what would they switch or upgrade from. And all that market research actually put us in a great position and it culminated in the last couple of years, probably last year particularly, because you were with us for 4 years, but the first 2 or 3 years was really in the trenches there that you were helping us develop all these products that never existed. Everything from standalone configurators to sales centers to insights and analytics, even to our marketplace portal, and now our very popular web app websites. Frankly, if you weren't there to help us get all that started with all your marketing and research and then also pushing the sales for it, I don't think Anugo would be in the position that we are today. If you're able to now take that experience and that knowledge, and not just with us, but connecting it to the CRMs, to the ERPs, and to everyone in between, and all these new startups, that is such a pivotal role that I think builders really desperately are lost in and need somebody to handhold them, know where to shop and how to shop and what to avoid and what to bring on. Is that a fair assessment of where you think our industry
Yeah.
is at with MarTech and all that?
Yes, our journey together was in the beginning, what a roller coaster because we were coming out with brand new products that not only was I new to the company, new to a whole new team, like everything was new.
Yeah,
Every 2 months we had a new product. And I'm like, what am
exactly.
I selling? How are we going to go to market
How
for
does it
this?
connect together? And which are the duds and which ones are the studs?
Right.
We were
Like,
had to
is
figure it
this
out.
even marketable? Can I ship
Exactly.
this? Is
Who are
this
the early
done?
adopters and who, yeah, it
Yeah.
was crazy. And yeah, we needed your marketing strategy and experience to help us move up to another level from just content to actually channels and ecosystems.
Thank you. And I've been really lucky to be connected with so many amazing people in our industry. And there's so many people that have grown up with me in the industry that are now leading a lot of home builders. So we've all come up together. So they know me, they've worked with me or heard about me over the years. So my connections, I definitely think helped. The products themselves were so groundbreaking. That storytelling and bringing that to the market was a challenge, but as challenge accepted, I was like, let's do this and let's figure it out. And not every idea was a hero idea, right? And that's what was fun is like you allowed me to try different things in my role and get creative and try different things, marketing, be a little bit more bold or be a little bit this way or that way. And you allowed that. And we really tapped into some magic as that time went on. And then Anya joined the team, and that really added gasoline to our brand. She's fantastic.
Gave us a voice. We didn't even have
Yes.
podcasts before
She
then.
wanted to be on stage, and I'm like, I'm good if I need to. If
But
I
the
need to be,
podcast helped
yeah.
us go through those times during COVID where you couldn't even meet people in person. So that elevated us and probably broadened our brand. But just to give a little bit more back to you, but as big as this industry is, over 25 years, I learned it's really the network that make things work. It's the trust that you have, the connections that you have. And I honestly believe that even if we had all these great products, they were buying as much into you as they're buying into our products. because they didn't know me from any other rendering company, just another static rendering. I can get that from anywhere to now saying, hey, we can make this stuff interactive, capture all the analytics, move it across your channels and integrate all your systems into it. That takes somebody that can convey that trust to that builder, knows what they're going through, knows what they're replacing. And I think back to your new startup here, your own company, this all parlays back into what you're doing. Where is your company? I know where your company's at, but where does it differentiate versus other companies out there? What's your specialty? What differentiates you?
So really, one, it's you're working with me. I don't have a team as of today. I'm not, maybe that will change as I get busier and busier.
You're only in month
So
one. So,
yeah, and there's consultants out there that are
right.
parties of one, and I love them all, and they're all my
Mhm.
friends. But then there's other companies that have grown and grown, and now you're working with someone with 2 years of experience or 3 years of experience. You're not getting the headliner, so to speak, that has 20 plus years of experience. You're getting their team, and for me, that's a big differentiator in my background. I've worked in sales, I've worked in marketing, I've worked in home building, I've worked in tech, I've brought products to market, I've grown companies to acquisition. That is what I'm known for. That is what my
I don't think
value
anybody else
proposition
matches
is.
that
Yeah.
resume, frankly.
Yeah. So I've been through all of that, and growing companies is my favorite thing to do. And that's really what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
Whether you're an entrepreneur yourself looking to launch your book and amplify it to and selling it to home builders, or whether you're a home builder trying to just reinvent your digital strategy, that's my background is in technology. Technology, I believe, and John, you and I have talked endlessly about, like, it is the crux of society.
And it never ends.
And builders tend to be a little bit less
Right.
techie, right? So who better to bring in than someone that has literally built a career on implementing and selling and talking to builders about tech, training salespeople and executives on how to use and leverage the technology. Now, I don't know all products, but I made it my job to know my competing products. So I know more than the average consultant that's out there about products that are out there. And I know them in a deep way.
And you know all the players. You know who to
I
contact. You know
do
how to
know the players. I
facilitate.
know what they're really good at. And I know what they're not really good at. Sorry. Like, I know what we were good at Inugo, and I knew what we weren't good at. Like, that's my
Exactly.
job to know and to recommend that to a builder. That is, and just seeing the aha
Mhm.
moment and seeing it really work and go into their company. And I'm not looking to walk away. If you need me to help implement and handhold you, I will do that too. So I do think that's a huge differentiator for
Mhm.
me, is that yes, people can say they're a marketer. Yes, they can see it, but I'm more of a technologist, marketing technologist, if that makes sense. I'm not a computer developer. Let's all be clear. I'm not a programmer. I'm
Yeah.
not developing technology, but I know how it should work,
Mhm.
and I know the results it's supposed to have.
And just to clarify,
Please.
we are independent of each other. We don't have any financial
Oh no, John
connections.
is not a paying client.
Yeah, I'm not a paying client. So
Not
like I've
yet.
always
Just
told
kidding.
you
No.
here, find the right fit for the builders. There's some clients that are not good for us and it's better with someone else. I think based on your experience and now your credibility there, you should remain neutral, but always be working for the builder's best interests.
And that's a big deal. A big deal to me is that trust. And if there is an interest in it for me for any reason, whether it's financial, because there are tech companies that reach out. They're like, can you help us? Can you
Right.
send us leads? We'll pay you. If there was ever a recommendation I would make, like, that builder will know how I'm getting paid. And
Exactly.
if that tech company is paying me, the builder will know about it, which is, I think for me, being on the flip side of the technology company, I remember consultants not recommending the products that I was selling because we wouldn't pay them.
Yeah.
And,
They
or
had a
not because
vested
we
interest
wouldn't pay
somewhere
them,
else.
maybe that's maybe not paying them, but only if we paid them, even if it was the better product for their client. And I'm going to die on that hill. If it's the better product, there's plenty of companies that I know the builders I'm talking to want to use, and it's I'm going to say it like that's a great company if it's a great company. I'm
Mhm.
not going to undermine a company. Now, if it's vaporware, which I'm aware of the vaporware in our
Mhm.
industry too, I'm gonna call it the way I see it. But I'm out here to maintain my reputation and maintain that trust. And I just don't know if everyone is transparent as that. And that kind of has always bummed me out about our industry, that there's like just a lot of secret backdoor deals going on. And if I get paid, like the builder's not going to have to pay me if I'm getting
Right,
paid
right,
by
right.
the tech, right? So that's that. It's almost like a broker. I'm a tech broker, but not every company is going to pay me, and that's okay. If it's the better product and the best fit, I'm going to recommend it.
But obviously, you're gonna need clients to survive. Do
Oh,
you
of
have any
course, of
clients
course.
now, and what's your relationship in that?
My clients right now are tech companies,
Hmm?
sales training companies. So tech companies are hiring me for what I've been doing for the past decade. I have already worked with builders in more of a consultancy aspect of for technologists for giving them recommendations. And that's like consulting, free consulting that I give out based on tech. And I have three more coming up. So three more clients coming up. So
But
yeah,
what's your
it's busy.
broader service? Because it seems like you service home builders, but you may also service some vendors that service other builders or
Oh,
vendors.
so tech companies, other tech companies. I'm working with prop tech companies in sales and or marketing. I'm working with training companies that are trying to grow their product, and most of their products they're selling into builders, which is I've been doing B2B, business to business sales and marketing for a decade. So again, who not I'm qualified to do that. That's what I've been doing. Yeah. So I'm working in that capacity. Also, folks looking to bring certification programs to market. There's a lot of different programs and folks that I'm helping that might not be home builders, but they're home building specific, in addition to the home builders calling me. Yeah.
So let's get to some of the intangibles. What are the favorite and most unfavorite parts of your job? Now
Oh
that you're
gosh.
an entrepreneur, it's got to be totally different
I
than
feel like you already probably know because you know
yeah,
my personality. Least favorite is probably like the QuickBooks, taxes, like that
administrative stuff, right?
admin,
The fundamental.
boring. Yeah, boring. I was like, who
Right,
can
right,
I
right.
outsource this to? But right now I'm doing it all. So I get it. And I think what's really helpful of doing that is just giving companies grace and giving my former employers grace. Just there's that fear of being an entrepreneur. I remember one of my best friends who's a broker out in Menlo Park in Silicon Valley. Years ago, she started her own brokerage. And I called her because again, this has been on my heart for a long time to start. I said, what is it like? And she said, you wake up unemployed every day. That's what she said.
You have to go hunting
That's what
every
she
day.
that's what she described to me. She's like, you wake
Yes.
up unemployed every day. And I said, okay, I'm not ready for that. That was a long time ago. Like that, there's like that fear of the unknown. That's not like my favorite parts of all of that. Just the like the little voice that pops up now and then on people that, yeah, like you just worry, right? Just like, what are people thinking? So that's my least favorite. And then my favorite parts are just everyone that showed up for me. Like when I told them all that I was about to make a change, how many calls I've gotten, what's going on, what are you doing? When I promoted the company, how many people just came to cheer me on and support me and asked how they can help. It's been just so humbling and amazing. I have so much gratitude. So that's my favorite part is the launch, and just it's very vulnerable to start your own company. And I get that now. Like you don't get it until you do it. You don't
Right.
get how vulnerable it is to put yourself out there in that way. And then to have so many people just come around and just like love on me in that way. And what's wild is so many of them are entrepreneurs because they know how hard it gets. And they are like, how can I help you? If you ever have questions, call me. I'm here for you. And I was like, dang, like it's just amazing.
Yeah, recently we've seen a slew of new startups, whether it's
Yes.
individuals, some people leaving a home builder, some people are branching out on their own, and some are VC backed, things like that. What advice would you give some of these people that are becoming entrepreneurs? I know you only been doing this for a month or two, but anything they need to prepare for before they launch or even while they're running that business?
That's a great question. What's wild, John, is since I told people I'm doing this, so many people really close to me are like considering doing it now too. So it's almost like this wildfire. And I know a friend of mine on social media, or she's a friend of mine, but on social media, she posted that since she launched, she's seeing so many of her friends doing it. So I do feel like your light, however you show up in this world, it helps other people show up and shine their light. I
Mhm.
definitely think by me putting myself out there and being vulnerable and saying, I'm doing this, has actually really helped other people not be as scared to do it themselves. So I would say for an entrepreneur or someone considering doing it, like, why the hell not? Like, people feel this.
You can always fall back to a regular job, right?
Correct. Will you go back and be like, dang? I always tell my husband that. I was like, I worst case scenario, I go and work for someone else again. That's really
Mhm.
not the worst case scenario because
Right.
I'm not adverse to work. And this is like really hard work, what I'm doing. But yes, for an entrepreneur, it's
Mhm.
really, I think we all have a false sense of safety working for another company, that anything can happen, the economy, anything can happen. The plug could be pulled at any time on your job. So it is if you bet on yourself, I know you and I talked about this, and I said, for as hard as I worked for other people, if I even put 50% of that into my own business, I'm going to be good,
Yeah, you should
because
be.
I would put 150 to 200% into other companies. So if I put even 50% of that 250, I'm going to be good
Mhm.
because I know how hard I work. So that's what I would say is bet on yourself. Don't be afraid. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm betting on myself. I've worked really hard for a really long time for other people and gave and helped grow their companies. Now it's time to do the same for myself.
I also think you're breaking new ground in this predominantly male-dominated industry to be a woman entrepreneur on her own, not as a team, not saying, hey, gals, let's get together here.
Yeah.
Has that been especially a challenge, or do you feel like the times are more open to that kind of like entrepreneur woman startup,
I do feel like people like to do things in groups because of fear.
right?
I do feel like everyone wants a buddy.
Yeah.
I I'm not that personality. Like, I don't,
Yeah, you're fearless. I know you
yeah, I don't
work
need, I don't
hard.
need, I don't need, I don't need a buddy in this. My husband is my buddy in life. We do life together. So I'm married. So I
And you have
do
three
have
kids,
and I have 3 kids, but I'm just saying
right?
we do life together. I don't necessarily need
Hmm.
somebody from another family. I don't need that personally, but there's no diss to other people that have partners or have teams. Like, you do what you need to do. But what I'll say is, like, being a female in our industry has had its challenges. Still today, you're aware of some of the challenges that I have as being a female. But I've been at tables that people are like, "Oh, you're really good for a girl in this industry." So, and it was a CEO of a company, of a prop tech company. And I remember saying, it's pretty impressive for what you've achieved as a female in tech.
Yeah, I can
And
see
I was
some people
like,
may pigeonhole you into certain places and say, hey, that's your role and that's your
and
influence.
I would say, I know that person meant nothing but giving me a compliment. But as a female, like, hearing that, it's just like, oh, it's like a shot to the heart. But I know he meant no harm from it. And at the same time, it's, wow, more females really need to be doing this. So I do believe everything I've done in my career, even going into tech, which was groundbreaking at that point. I don't know if it's
That's
groundbreaking,
another
but
layer. That was the next layer I was going to say. Not only have you chosen to do this in a male-dominated field, but technology on top of home building is another level that most women are not known to be in, respected in.
I do think the roadmap I've seen other companies model now, of like my background and my experience and what I brought to the technology company selling to home builders. They all took a page out of Lasso's book and started hiring home builder, and a lot of them were female. Some of them were male, but a lot of them tended to be female. So I do feel like, again, it's like when you shine your light, other people will follow. And I do feel like I've helped pave the way for some other females to join the tech. And if I can do that from where I'm at now and do more of that, heck yeah, like, I want more females to dominate this space. Because I remember even joining the ECI team, I was at that time, now it's different today. If you talk to them today, I was the only female on that sales team.
And I actually think this is all coming full circle to your advantage in that the interesting thing is a lot of women in home building are in the executive positions of marketing and sales, or even on the OSC level. Having your background and that you have that can-do attitude, but you can also hold their hands and understand their issues both at work and even outside of work. I think that will play well to your brand, but also just to your services. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the name of the game, right? Like my goal is to take all of my industry knowledge and everything I know and bring it to the table, whether that's helping a builder shop for technology and understanding what each piece of technology can do for them. Especially, we hear it all the time. Builders go to the International Builder Show and just start buying stuff without a plan, without a plan or a strategy, and not knowing how it all goes together. That's where I would come in, right? I would help
I
them with the
agree.
plan and strategy before they showed up at the builder show and say, these are the companies you need to check out. This is how it all sync together. And these are the companies that play really nicely together. That's my specialty. Like
I agree. I
that's
think
what I've been doing for years and years for home builders without, I joke around and say your title. I've never had marketing in my title. Oh, it's been a long time since I've had marketing in my title, but I've done marketing and I've been a consultant because I believe sales is really consulting. I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to give you a solution.
yes,
And sometimes
business
that
solution.
solution is the product I'm selling. And sometimes it's my neighbor down the street that has the right solution for them. And then I'm also going to recommend what else you should do. Here are these other tech tools that work really well with that.
Well said. So, what are your future plans from here? Where does Sarah go from here?
Month two, we're wrapping up. I know it's so early, so I appreciate you having me on so early, but we go way back. Where do I go from here? Adding a couple more clients to my roster for sure.
And you're building
I
a
will
network
say,
too, right? Of
oh,
other people that you work with and to help.
yeah,
Yeah.
gosh, I've been so it's since June, and since I've let people know this is what I'm doing, I've gotten to meet additional people, like just through what they're doing. They own their own companies, how they could help me and my clients, whether it's because I mentioned earlier, I'm not a graphic designer, I'm not an artist, so I'm not a videographer, obviously, not a photographer. So lots of different folks that do different things. And for the different types of clients that I have, some of them do need videographers, some of them do need photographers, some of them do need event planners, some of them need all, like, you name it.
Right.
So just meeting additional people, and people ask me for virtual coffees so they can tell me what they do.
Mhm.
I have a list of resources to either recommend out or bring if I'm doing the whole strategy for that builder, because sometimes I'm doing a part of the strategy, I'm not doing all of it, but my connections and my recommendations are part of my value.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think 25 years into this, your main role is not to do the day-to-day, I would say grunt work,
I do
but
some of that still.
you just to keep her. Sometimes you just gotta do just
Yeah.
to eat bread to get through the next
Right.
day.
Fair
But
enough. Yeah, but I'm really more of a strategist than
right, but that
anything.
strategy is an important part. Like you said earlier, a lot of people say, "Oh, I have to go buy a marketing software today, so I'm an IBS. I'll just pick it up and I'll assemble it when I get home." And really, they should have planned it out beforehand and having a strategy to implement that to achieve their goals. But I think the other part too is I really see you more and more as a facilitator and a conductor, that you're orchestrating a lot of moving pieces and parts in this overall ecosystem. And I don't think too many people have had that ground level experience, and much less the 50,000 foot view. That 50,000 foot view is really where you see the whole thing come together and you can actually direct it toward a bigger business goal or the future direction of how this industry is moving. And I think technology is going to accelerate things faster than it's ever has in this industry. I've seen more changes in the last 3, 4 years, particularly with AI, which is a whole nother topic we can talk about later, more in the last 3 years than probably the previous 10. And I think that pace of change is going to be very disruptive, but it's going to be very complex, confusion and confusing. So having someone that is well grounded and not hallucinating, so they don't just pick up the wrong AIs, I think is
So they're
critical.
not just asking ChatGPT what to do.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
can't just chat GPT this to your business success. I
Right.
think there still needs to be, particularly in this industry, because it's so unique, very different process, very complex, a lot of moving parts, to actually have someone that has been there, seen that, done that, didn't like that, endorses that, or whatever. And I think that's where you are a pivotal piece to that. And I'm just glad to be part of that journey. And I see you like really excelling here.
Oh, thanks, John. And for anyone that's listening that needs help figuring out what to invest in, like you said, there's a lot of builders looking to cut costs, it's all about revenue and profitability.
Maybe the
Have a
customer experience, maybe the customer journey as well.
Of
But
course,
yeah,
well, all of
business
that.
wise.
I will say this: if your customer journey and customer experience is good, profits and revenue will come. So it all ties
I agree.
together.
I agree.
So it's holistic. It's a holistic approach that I'm aware of based on all of my life experience, lived
Right.
experience of working as a home builder, shopping for these tools, implementing these tools, knowing what a day to day looks like, then also working for the technology companies and understanding. I think we've talked about this before, but I definitely am an interpreter. I can talk tech jargon, but I can talk builder and translate. So that's where I've been really helpful for prop tech companies and the developers of those techs of what the builder really needs. And then I've been able to, with the technology, be able to report back to the builder, this is what it really means. This is how it works. And I've been known in my past to ask really hard questions to prop tech companies and really put their feet to the fire when checking out their tech and asking them, because I know those pitfalls. I know, and the average person that has never sold technology or implemented or tried to do APIs and integrations wouldn't know.
Definitely.
I know where the weak spots are in the chain of our industry, and I know how to ask those questions, really figure out if there's a faulty wire, so to speak, or a faulty connection. And it's really, I've made some tech companies squirm by asking those questions, but it wasn't because I was trying to make them squirm. I'm really just trying to understand. And if they're squirming, that's a flag.
Exactly. Well,
That's
I
a
think there's
flag.
probably a lot of listeners out there that are very intrigued at the minimum, but probably in need of some of your services. So how can people reach you?
So you can reach me at my email address. It's Sara Williams at arasandco.com. And Aras is ARASANDCO.com. My website, arasandco.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. You can shoot me a DM there. I would love to do a virtual coffee. Just learn about you, your business, what you're trying to achieve to see if we're the right fit. I'm not going to be the fit for everybody, and that's okay. But I would love to see if I can help you grow your company.
Sarah, it's really been a wonderful touching base with you again on our podcast. We welcome you to come back anytime. We'd love to get an update on where you're at and just follow your journey.
Thanks, John. I really appreciate it. I love you guys here, and I really appreciate you inviting me on.
Okay, thanks. Okay, bye.
Thanks. Bye.